the life of an artist.
Well, I've said a lot of times tonight, this is what you do if that's what you choose, if that's what you want. You want to be in the mainstream industry? Okay, here's an idea of something that you should do or could do that'll help you get to that goal. And I think one of the most important things, and this is part of my own personal process too, but I think it's useful to everybody. And it's ironic actually that we just talked about the Matrix and knowing yourself and all of that. Being a creative person, I think, means that you always have to be open to learning more about yourself and learning more about the world. And you need to be conscious about what it is and honest with yourself about what you really want and how the choices that you make lead you in the path that you wind up going. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that and the reason why this comes up for me is because, I see a lot of people out there, and not just writers, but actors and directors and whatever, who are very frustrated because they haven't gotten to a level that they feel is what they thought it should be. They're not working enough.
Expectation.
Yeah. And I'm as guilty of that as anybody else is on a certain level. But when I look back at the choices that I've made for the last, 23, 24 years, all of them have moved me a little bit further away from being part of the mainstream industry and a little bit closer to where I am right now. And everybody has to sort of be okay with that, whatever that means for them. And it took me a long time to be okay with that because you can't escape it, right? You see the mainstream industry everywhere, for example, right? And so that's what a lot of us aspire to. I want to do that. I want to be the guy who wrote Spider-Man. I want to be the person who, stars in Breaking Bad. I want to, whatever, right? And when we don't get there, sometimes we get very frustrated and we think that what we're doing is somehow less legitimate because we're not there. And I think when we get into that point, when we get into those states where we get frustrated about it, we have to ask ourselves, well, are the choices that I've been making really leading me there? Or are they leading me in a completely different place? And this has been a big revelation for me personally, because when I look back at my own journey, and I won't bore everybody with all the details of everything that's happened to me in the last 25 years, but even if I just look at the last 10 years, right? And I think about the choices that I've made and what I've actually done. What I've done and the choices I've made have not led me in the direction of having a career in the mainstream. Absolutely not. I took one serious foray. I had one serious foray into the world of studio features, and I had one serious foray into the world of network television. I did pretty well both times. A bunch of people, bunch of studios, a bunch of big production companies read my feature script. I wound up being the last finalist eliminated from the Warner Brothers Television Writers Workshop. So I did pretty well, right? But anybody knows that if that's really what you want to do, and again, this would apply to writing or acting or directing or any pursuit that's this difficult and this competitive, one time just doesn't cut it. So if I really wanted to be a mainstream feature writer, or I really wanted to be a staff writer on a mainstream television show, then my behavior has not led me in that direction. I've made the wrong choices. And I've had to come to learn that they're not the wrong choices. They're the right choices for me. They just have led me in a direction that is the direction I've gone. And,
Yeah, no, happily. Happily, absolutely. I'm right there with you.
And I think I wanted to talk about that because really it's not about me as much as it's about, people have to know themselves better. I think, especially when you're in an industry that's this competitive.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly be saying, well, if what I want to do is be on that TV show or write that script for Warner Brothers or whatever, right? Am I really taking the steps that I need to do that? Or am I taking steps that are leading me in another direction? And I don't think enough of us, especially when we feel frustrated about the direction that things are going, I don't think enough of us step back and say, well, am I really doing everything I can to get in that direction?
Or step back and take into account the choices that develop awareness around the choices that were made and where those choices led.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be happier about the choices that you've made. I've known you for a long time, man, and I'm very, very happy to have you here. Really,
and I'm very happy to be here too. And I mean,
but
absolutely.
I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Now that you've talked about that aspect of your journey, I share quite a bit of both philosophically, foundationally, the aspects of that journey, but also literally. I mean, I've had many, many years of that journey with you.
Right.
That being said, and now that we have this opportunity to have you here, we're going to conclude this webcast. But prior to doing so, I want to talk a little bit about, and keeping, of course, writers in mind here, how it is that these considerations were thought out and integrated into the website for the purpose of writers being discoverable, and how it is that the plugins that were designed and put into the website were designed, how it is that writers were kept in mind through that process, and how it is that writers can take advantage of the website in order to grow or to get their writing on a screen.
Right.
And talk a little bit about a little bit, because we do need to wrap this up, but talk a little bit about new media. And of course, I'm not.
Just kidding.
Okay. But so I mean, there were lots of considerations taken for the writer's sake.
Right. I don't know if I can. I mean, maybe if there are specific things that you have in mind, you can elucidate and
Sure,
we can talk
I
about
can get
them.
into it.
But I mean, I would say that to me, the way I would answer that question would not be specific to writers per se.
Okay.
It would be specific to anyone who's trying to be involved in this life.
Go for it.
I believe in the power of the crowd. And I believe in the idea that there is another way to do things other than how it's being done currently. It's not that I'm judging the way the industry works in any sort of negative way. I'm not. And I think it's a waste of time to do that. I think people who sit around and criticize the mainstream industry for this reason or that reason, I think that they're misguided. They are what they are, and they do what they do very well. I just think that there's another way to do things that I'm more interested in. And that way is more inclusive. That way opens up opportunities to people who might not have the means or the wherewithal to move to Los Angeles or New York. I mean, some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life don't work in this industry. And they don't work in this industry because they didn't have the money to move to Los Angeles, or they didn't have the stomach to continually get rejected at auditions, or whatever the case may be. All sorts of things that had nothing to do with talent, and I wanted my TV to be able to address as many of those people as possible. I never want to see, and I'm not going to mention him by name, but one of my very best friends is maybe the most brilliant comedic actor I've ever seen in my life. But he's not acted in 15 years now. And it's because of things like this. It's because of lack of access. It's because of not wanting the rejection. It's because of not having a suitable support system. Yeah, and I think that my TV has the ability to offer that to actors and writers and directors and cinematographers and editors and costume designers and whoever, casting directors, everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to, I mean, because of the internet, you don't have to be in my office to audition for me anymore. You can be at home in Iowa or Texas or wherever you happen to be.
Canada.
Canada. Is Sasha out there?
I don't know.
You know, and you can audition if you have the sides, if you know what the project is, you can audition just as well as anybody else can.
Yeah.
And if I really like you, well, I'll, the $300 or whatever to fly you here so that we can film something with you is not, what's $300. But, a lot of producers or a lot of projects, they don't think that way. It's be here,
Yeah.
So that's part of it. I just believe in giving everybody a shot to have their voice heard, and I wanted us to create a forum where everybody would have an opportunity to have their say. Now, look, I mean, reality is that nothing will happen if everybody's ideas get integrated. It's just not the way it works, right? But everybody should have the opportunity to at least voice their opinion, to contribute somehow, to contribute however they want to contribute. And I also think, in addition to all of that, that yes, there are, even though some of them are not the more visible members of the site, there are legitimate professionals lurking about my TV. Mm-hmm. And you have an opportunity to meet them, or at least not meet them, but to have them become familiar with you and your work, in a way and in an environment that's much more friendly and personable, and where they get to know you as a person and not just, some guy who handed me 120 pieces of paper, or some actress who has really pretty headshots or whatever. They get to know you.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, those are the first things that come into my mind about when we want to talk about why we created my TV.
Well, yeah. I completely agree with you. But as far as writers are concerned, the plugins that we're using, the reason they were developed the way they were developed was so that writers could have a platform to create galleries where their writing was there for actors to access and work on. And the way that the plugins were developed were taking into consideration all the roadblocks that writers could have to having their work online.
Yeah, basically we wanted to create a way that you could display your work publicly if you chose. And the risks of it getting ripped off would be minimized, because people can't print your scripts, they can't copy your scripts, they can't download your scripts.
Yeah, it just lives on the site.
Yeah, it just lives on the site, and people who want to read them have to.
And hopefully through reaching out, actors or producers or directors that are out there will want to take on these projects. You form relationships with these storytellers, and the hope is that that groups of collaborating artists, multimedia artists, will get together to see some of these stories get made.
Yes, absolutely.
Guys, it's really been a pleasure being here with you for these 2 hours.
What's that?
Caveat. Oh, Celine, good luck. All right, Kevin, at the beginning of the interview, you said that you would teach, you would do this seminar, but there was one caveat. Do you remember what that caveat is?
I know exactly what it is.
You're in luck, Celine.
Yeah, here's the caveat. The problem with offering anything for free is that money is a great motivator, right? If I paid $1,000 to be in a class, I'm way more likely to do the work and show up for the classes and all that than I am if I did it for free.
Yeah.
And so free to a lot of people is an invitation to not take something seriously. Mm-hmm. And so the caveat is that I'll do it for free if people are committed to it. If if we say that we're going to have 8 sessions and you show up to every session and you've done your work and you've committed to it, you don't have to pay a dime. But the one thing I'm going to institute, and I'm only instituting it because I know how big of a motivator money is that if someone just blows off the work or just says, you know what, I don't want to show up this week, then if you want to come back, you have to pay. And then, by the end of the session, if you don't miss any more classes, you'll get the money back. But it's the only way I can think of to keep it free, but also provide that incentive that money provides to people to take it seriously. If 15, 20 people, whatever the number is, do this and all of them are committed, I could do this for the rest of my life and you would never have to pay me, because it's not about that. But the second that people start to say, you know what, who cares if I show up? I didn't pay anything for it.
Right.
Then it becomes a waste of my time. But if people really want to commit to it, then yes. So that's the caveat. I'll do it for free if you don't waste my time by not taking it seriously.
That's a good caveat. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you. This was pretty fun.
Kevin, really, really great to have you on here.
Thank you.
Really great to get to talk to you with headphones and microphones.
I know.
Yes. All right, guys. Bye. See you next time. Oh, wait. Next time, do we have our next guest already booked?
Deb Curtis.
Deb Curtis.
And then David Gideon.
All right. So
the next two, those are the next two. Deb Curtis is a
network exec. Well, no.
She's a
TV exec.
VP of current programming, right?
No.
She's a television executive in production.
Head of current programming at E1, and then David Gideon.
And then David Gideon, who's the
former director of the Strasberg Institute and current
professor at SUNY Purchase, which was just named by Hollywood Reporter or somebody as the top acting BFA program in the country.
So there it is. All right, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Ciao.